think we found another. Get ready.
Hey everybody! It's me, Gatsby, from Gattskin. My set has changed, but my content has not. I'm back in the goddamn building again, talking about my OCs, also known as original characters. And not just any OCs, these are the characters I made that caused me to start this whole YouTube thing like over 2 years ago now. Good God, time sure does fly. This story I have, it's called Liminal Lost and Found, aka Laugh, because just as my younger self once put it, the story is so stupid, you will laugh at it. The thing is though, since I've last talked about this story on my YouTube channel, so much stuff has changed for it. The laugh of today is very different than the laugh of 2023, right? So I thought it would be fun to kind of reintroduce the whole concept for you all, for both the new and old watchers of the channel. Consider it a fresh start for the new year, which is sure going great so far. So, in this video, I will be talking about the 4 main characters of the story, their dynamics, as well as mentioning some other stuff I want to talk about in relation to Liminal Lost and Found. If you like hearing an internet schmuck talk about their OCs for a certain amount of time because it helps you feel something in this cruel, dark world, then have we got a show for you. Who is we? If you subscribe, you just might find out. If I'm able to make it to 10,000 subs before the end of the year, well, I'll just have to start abusing my social media clout to fund the second resurrection of Jesus Christ. He may have died once for our sins, but who says he can't do it again? I wish I could say this story idea, Liminal Lost and Found, came to me in a really cool way, like in a dream or something. But the story, it's not that epic. It literally came to mind because I wanted an excuse to combine all the things I loved when I was younger into one story. This started with some of my preteen obsessions, right? Those being Redwall, the book series by Brian Jacques, specifically Madame Mayo, 2011's Thundercats, and My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. And then combined with my fascination with multiverse stories or just stories in which characters have like different art styles, which in this day and age might be a bit overdone, but I don't care. The whole point of this project was to make my own personal slop. Tonally, it definitely takes a lot of inspiration from Undertale, Deltarune, honestly the whole Mother series, if we're being for real right now, Adventure Time, the basic concept of the backrooms, as well as a whole bunch of other weird internet mystery and lost media things, and then whatever else I find interesting or funny. So, what is Laugh about then? Well, there is this space between spaces, an elseworld that anyone from any reality can find themselves getting pulled into with no way back. It has been dubbed the Liminal by those who have ended up there. It all starts when Daisy Bella, who is this unicorn, right? She lives in this community made up of some of the other inhabitants of the Liminal called Little Town, because you know, it's a town, and it's little. Well, one day, while taking a rather long walk outside the outskirts of Little Town to blow off some steam, Daisy realizes that the only way back to Little Town has disappeared. The Liminal literally shifted it away, if that makes sense. So while she's trying to figure out an alternative route back, she comes across a suspicious fox guy wearing a mask and this other guy with a freaky right arm fighting over a rather large looking egg. Daisy, she freaks out over this because she has lived in the Liminal her whole life, okay? Despite how strange the place is, it does have some logic to it. some things to watch out for. And one of those things is that, well, if you see a large, delicious looking egg all by itself, unattended, it's not an act of providence, it is a danger. It is not an egg, it is an egg-like object called an acid egg. Cause if you break the egg in any tiny little way, even the tiniest little crack on the shell, it will start to leak the most like corrosive acid ever. It can melt like 1,000,000 steel beams, and these two dinguses are literally wrestling over it, okay? So the fact that they don't know what it is shows that they are both at least relatively new to this whole liminal thing. So Daisy, because she tries to be a nice person, uses her magic to take the egg from them and also try to get the two off of each other, and explains the whole entire, deadly egg acid thing to them. And, she explains like, hey, I'm just gonna place you guys back down and then the egg far away. And then I'm gonna mark the egg around the area around the egg as a hazard. And then we're just gonna walk slowly away from the egg, okay? And, she puts everybody down. And as soon as she does that, the freaky arm guy picks up the egg, laughs in the face of the fox guy, is like, I got the egg. And without thinking it, he punts it on the ground like it's a ball or something. And then, it's made of acid, the egg, it breaks, and then the whole floor melts underneath them. And then the three of them fall down this giant chasm into a deeper part of the liminal. And the liminal, it's a weird place, much like the back rooms that it is modeled after. Pretty much anything can be found in there. Opening a side door in a large, abandoned mall area can lead you to a dry desert canyon region. You tumble down a ravine in there, and then you might find yourself in a bright but kinda creepy kiddie play area that might give you a view of a vast expanse of an alien planet. And that's just the scenery. Don't even get me started on the living things or all the other random junk you might come across. I mean, of course there's gonna be, your scary monsters that will rip your head off and eat your gullet or whatever. And there's the acid eggs that I have previously mentioned. But sometimes you touch a harmless looking plant and then boom, it starts causing all the other plants around it to start leaking some weird liquid that smells like a combination of rotten mayonnaise and cinnamon. And it kind of itches now that it's on your skin. You think you're having an allergic reaction, you don't know. You haven't seen an EpiPen in miles. And like I said, the junk. Sometimes you get lucky and you come across some really useful stuff. Like, oh wow, look at all these fresh bottles of water. Or, oh awesome, it's a knockoff portal gun. That'll be really useful. Or, oh wow, best of all, it's the Elvis Presley and Princess Diana Variety Hour on Laserdisc. You got a Laserdisc player back at the base you set up. This should be a momentary relief from the nightmare that you're living in now. But what if on the way back to your base that you've set up in the liminal, you find a cool looking cowboy hat, and then you put the cowboy hat on, trying to get some aura farming or whatever, and then it just turns you into a bird, and then you fly away and the hat falls off. And now that you're a bird, you can't get the hat back on. You're stuck as a bird forever. You're a bird now. Bird brain. Any other sentient person you come across, it's a gamble. They are either, someone who is friendly and you can trade goods or information with, or heck, the two of you can team up and start working together. Or they're an evil douchebag and they kill you and take all your stuff. Or the worst possible scenario, they are mildly annoying. Daisy is unlike most others who have found themselves in the liminal, right? Because she was born and raised in the liminal. What we would consider strange, that's how things are to her. She has no baseline to compare the liminal to other than the past experiences others have told her. Before living in Little Town, She spent a good chunk of her early life wandering the liminal itself with her older adoptive sister figure before, the two of them settled down in Little Town. So yeah, Daisy knows a lot about surviving in this place. So she is very understandably annoyed by these two guys she's now stuck with. Or at least morally she feels like she's stuck with. I mean, sure, she could just abandon them, but that wouldn't sit right with her. And it would just, the guilt. Come on, the guilt would eat her inside. So the guy with the freaky arm, right? So his name is Levka, and he has this amulet he wears that can turn into a sword, and he knows how to fight and stuff and do backflips and stuff. It's pretty cool, and he's overall pretty friendly, outgoing. He has something called liminal sickness, which is this list of symptoms someone can get when they first enter the liminal, such as vertigo, nausea, headaches, and in Levka's case, retrograde amnesia. He can't remember his life before the liminal at all, except that it is imperative he gets back home. So that is what he's focused on, getting back home, however he can do that ASAP. So he's an act first, ask questions later kind of guy. He's stubborn, and guys, I'm sorry, he's not woke. He's ever so slightly misogynistic. I mean, not maliciously so, okay? He's not maliciously unwoke, okay? But you can tell this guy was told, women are inherently weaker and dumber than men, and therefore you have to protect them. That kind of stupid rhetoric as a child. Very clearly, he has some deep-rooted insecurity that he's trying to make up for, but he's not going to admit to it. He's not going to identify it. Does this make sense? I hope it makes sense. A lot of the times, he can get the group into danger because he can't follow instructions. He kind of ignores Daisy. The fox guy, on the other hand, other paw, I mean, he's kind of it's more like a hand than a paw. Anyways, well, he gets stuck with the name John Fox, because he kept trying to be mysterious and not give a name, but at some point in their journey, another person, wandering the liminal, just refers to him as John, and it just kind of sticks, despite his disagreements to that. So he's like John Fox, and it's like John Doe, but he's a fox, so it's John Fox. It's pretty funny, you gotta admit, it's pretty funny. So sure, he actually listens to what Daisy has to say when it comes to surviving in the liminal, but he is so clearly up to something. He's constantly rubbing his hands together, muttering things to himself. Sometimes it sounds something like, revenge. What the fuck? What the fuck? And he looks at Daisy's bag like he's trying to figure out how to steal it and get away with it. And his teamwork skills are really horrendous. Okay, he's looking out for number one a lot, and it's just so terrible. You just why hasn't this guy fallen over and in a ditch? And then he'll fall over in a ditch, and then he'll just scramble out of it, and just you didn't see that. I didn't do that. So yeah, he runs away all the time when something remotely dangerous happens. He's really flaky. And it's really annoying too, because John and Levka, they do not get along. Oil and water. So Daisy feels like a babysitter to these grown men who are one slip of the tongue away from pummeling each other for the umpteenth time. And that's not all, because this party of 3 eventually becomes a party of 4 when Daisy, John, and Levka come across this robot who is frankly kicking their butts. And it isn't until the 3 of them actually work together to explain that, hey, we're not a threat, that the robot, she stops shooting missiles at them and they actually have a productive conversation. She, yes, she, this large robot soldier is an android with the big, scary robot form being an alt she can take. Regardless of what form she is in, though, she could still pretty easily, like, beat you up. I mean, she's made of high-tech material, okay? She's not moving an inch unless she wants you to move her an inch. She joins the other three only because she is bored, and this little town that Daisy's trying to get the others to sounds marginally more interesting than where they are now. This makes Levka tilted, because he, at first, can't comprehend someone who he perceives as a woman being able to beat him up in a fight. Okay, so there's tension there. John doesn't like her, because that's one more thing that could get in the way of his whatever he has going on. His little weird things, his plans. Azure, that's her name, by the way. Her name is Azure. I like to call her the blue one sometimes, even though it's really only her hair that's blue. Anyways, Azure doesn't take anything Daisy says super seriously. It's like everything is a joke to her. She's like detached. It's not that deep, is something she'd probably say. So she doesn't take a lot of what Daisy says seriously. So for example, they're in this area with like a lot of stairs, and Daisy is telling Azure like, oh yeah, it looks like there's about 6 or 7 more flights to go. And then Azure just laughs at her for that. Like, why would she laugh at Daisy for that? That wasn't even funny. Come on, she's so confused, and Azure won't explain. And Azure doesn't like Levka because every word out of his mouth is like the dumbest thing she has ever heard, and it just baffles her. Like, how are you even breathing? John? Azure doesn't hate John. Okay, she thinks he's funny, but he's funny only when she rage baits him. So she's like constantly like trolling him or like rage baiting him just to get the reaction, because she thinks his reactions are just like so funny. These four, it's a miracle they have made it this far and no one has killed someone else in the group. Okay, Daisy really is the glue holding this whole entire operation together. Thankfully, as time goes on, they all start to realize this and treat her with more respect. Even when the other three don't like each other that much, they definitely, they're a lot nicer to Daisy as time goes on, And they all have a role within their group of 4 that helps each other get through the liminal. Daisy, she's the party lead. She's helping the others not die with her knowledge of the goings-on in the liminal. She's the one divvying out supplies. In a fight, she's usually the one in the back, using her magic either to support the team or like blasting spells. Levka, his flaws, he's gonna be the first one to jump into danger. And, with the sword and stuff, he can stabby, he can punch, he can kick. But he's also the last one to leave in a dangerous situation. He wants to make sure that everyone else is out of an area. A little bit protective in that sense. And sometimes, when he's able to avoid putting his foot in his mouth, he can say some genuinely sweet things. Azure, she knows how to crack a joke, even if the rest of the group doesn't get the joke. What's a bofa? What does it have to do with nuts? I'm so confused. One thing you can't crack, though, is her defenses. Azure is the tank of the team, the wall against hordes of giant rabbit space lice. And if you give her enough cover and time to set up, she can blast away foes with powerful, rockets or missiles and stuff. Though it does come at a cost of giving her lots of water afterwards to cool down her systems. John doesn't really talk with the others or really try to bond with them in any way at first, but he is perceptive and he knows that if he pisses everybody off enough, they're gonna kick him out and then he'd be on his own to survive, and that's not really tactical. So he's perceptive, right? He's perceptive. If he knows X action will cause the others to like him more, he'll do it. It's also that perception that helps him sometimes sense danger before Daisy is able to, especially since, the liminal, Daisy's knowledge can only go so far. The unexpected is always a possibility. And with Azure now helping Levka take up the enemies aggro, John can kind of do more like sneak attacks. Maybe he finds like a little pocket knife and does a stabby stab here and there. He also likes to snag various loot and might share them with the rest of the party. Now, whether or not these were attained ethically, that's a different question. We're not going to worry about that right now. A final thing John starts to do is mend any injuries Daisy or Levka might get. He's strangely good at the whole healing thing. Sure, Azure might backseat him because a robot with terabytes upon super terabytes of data, she's gonna have more modern medical knowledge than a fox guy from the furry 17th century. But unlike Azure, John can actually handle looking at the blood and tissues and viscera of the flesh. So yeah, the four of them, they can really get on each other's nerves, but at the end of the day, after they've been through a whole lot of weird crap in the liminal, they can sit down in a safe, relatively safe area, take a break, and just, start talking about things wherever the conversation leads them, and just hang out and chill and kind of actually feel like friends, camaraderie. And this causes the issues they have with each other to become a whole lot easier to resolve in, productive conversations and growing and learning from each other as people. Isn't that just beautiful? Well, Levka's I guess he's like a human. Well, he's kind of an elf. Azure's like a robot. John is, Daisy's a horse. So, you get what I mean when I say people, though. And they are really going to have to learn how to work together as a team, because there is danger on the horizon. If not the landscape itself putting them into a pickle, dangerous situations lurk around any corner. And there's also scary people to look out for, like Marlena, a strange eldritch being who really cares about the material worth of things. Or Kilson, literally the same guy as John, but older and from a different timeline where he is even more of a freak, who is able to always socially manipulate himself into high positions of power and then use those resources to make everyone around him miserable. Or Elephant, a slasher who stalks the corridors of the liminal, who just might make you his next meal. He's a hungry, hungry fella. Even when they make it to Little Town, their journey is far from over. Through a series of events, a prophecy is revealed. By gathering these strange, ethereal gemstones, dubbed guffins, and bringing them to the lowest point of the liminal, it just might bring a way for everyone to go back home. So, Daisy, John, Levka, and Azure, or as I like to call them, the super ultra mega awesome hyper swagful laser tonic supercalifragilisticexpialidocious best friend squad, set out to the unknown parts of the liminal once again. This time on a quest for the Guffins, but not without the support of the citizens of Little Town and all the wonderful people who live in the liminal on their own, doing their own thing. Such crazy characters include Daisy's older adoptive sister, Mako, who teaches the jazzercise class in Little Town. And then there's her husband, Justino, who teaches the small group of kids. He's like the elementary school teacher in Little Town, because those kids gotta have education. Come on. You got the mayor of Little Town, Sandra Murphy. And then Man, the upholder of justice in Little Town, and its protector as well. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of fun characters out there. At least I hope they're fun. I try to make them interesting, whatever. Character writing is my passion. Many of the characters in Liminal Lost and Found are made purposefully to mirror someone else in some way or another. One theme I have with Laugh out of the many themes I have for this story is that you are not alone in your pain or in your struggles, right? Someone out there totally different from you, they might not exactly get what you're going through, but they can at least relate because they too have gone through something terrible. You know, sympathy, empathy, it's a wonderful thing to have. There's joy and pain in life, and we also tell each other stories. It's a wonderful time. I can't say Laugh is going to be a good story, but it's a story I want to try telling, regardless of how inexperienced I am. Ever since I first came up with Liminal Lost and Found, I've felt this ache in my heart that it's not a quote-unquote real thing I can show people, so fuck it, we ball! You might have noticed out of the things I've been drawing for like the speed paints here in the background, some of them are comic pages, and well, that's because I'm making a webcomic. You know, like I said, I can't promise this is going to be anything that good. My comic experience is pretty limited. I made a one-shot last year, well, almost a year ago. That was about 36 pages long. That's about how long this current project will be for Liminal Lost and Found. Obviously, it won't be all of Laugh, but yeah, I'll get this done when it's done. I'll upload it all at once on a website or something, and go from there. It's really hard to be creative right now with all this AI bullshit. It really pisses me off how some people feel like AI is the only way they can be creative, when that's not at all true. Doing it yourself, sure, it might take forever and it might not come out quote-unquote good, but it's still something you made. It's your blood, your sweat, your tears, your hopes and dreams. It's your own goddamn thoughts, and not whatever some stupid predictive text image generator algorithm spat out at you. When you have a passion for something and you make it, you put your soul into it, even if it's like a little bit. And then when you put that thing out there and share it with the world, regardless of how scary it is for you, someone will come along and appreciate what you've done. They'll look at it and say, oh my gosh, this is so cool, this is my Jimmy Jam. Take this YouTube channel, for example. As of me writing this script, I have less than 2,000 subscribers, and I've been at this YouTube thing for a couple years now, and despite this relative obscurity I have, I still have people who will comment how much they enjoy my silly ramblings, or like they'll send me like fan art they've drawn of my own characters, which is just so surreal to me, and words can't express how much that means to me. Like, I'll tear up about it sometimes, like legitimately, it makes me emotional that people care. And that's the thing, people do care, and it's not cringy to care. So be kind to yourself, support each other, support your fellow artists. Lord knows we need it. And remember, there is nothing funny about peace, love, and understanding. This is Gatsby from Gattskin, signing out.